Hello everyone. So we're going to start on with the unit number 6 based on HCI models and theories. We intend to cover the following topics from the syllabus. So we are supposed to learn everything in depth with different models, with different techniques which are used under them, the different theories which are behind them. The first one talks about goals and task hierarchy model, linguistic model, then physical and device models, cognitive architectures, hierarchical task analysis, that is HTA, uses of task analysis, diagrammatic dialogue notations, computer mediated communication, ubiquitous computing, and finding things on web, future of HCI. Before beginning with actually what are the different types of models and all, let's see what is basically a model. So, at all places, the designer recruits a selection of models to contribute to the design process. For example, if we are building a new office block, then we would use models of air circulation to design the ventilation system, structural models for the fabric, and possibly social models for the design of the detailed view of the office layout. Basically, models are used in almost all the disciplines. A range of models can be used during the interface design process. Just as in the design of the office block, several different types of models are required for different aspects of the building. So, in interface design, we would expect to use a whole selection of complementary models. The cognitive models represent users of interactive systems. Architectural assumptions about the user are needed in any of the cognitive models. So, we categorize them as hierarchical models, the different linguistic models, physical and device model, and architectural models. Now, what do we mean by hierarchical models? Basically, it represents a user's task and goal structure. The linguistic models represent the user system grammar and how it is understood by the user. Physical and device models represent human motor skills, and the cognitive architectures basically underlie all of these cognitive models. These models aspect the understanding, knowledge, intentions, and processing of the user. The common categorization for the cognitive models could be competence versus performance. So, what is competence models? They basically predict legal behavior sequences and do this without reference to whether they could actually be executed by the users. It represents the kinds of behavior expected by a user and provide help in analyzing the behavior to determine its demands on the user. The performance models describe what the necessary behavior sequences are and describe both what the user needs to know and how this is employed in actual task execution. It provides analytical power mainly by focusing on routine behavior in very limited applications. These models basically are supposed to provide a computational flavor also. By the computational flavor, I mean to say it reflects the way that the computational similarities are often used in cognitive psychology. Let's start on with goal and task hierarchies. There are many models which make use of a model of mental processing where the user achieves goals by solving sub-goals in a divide and conquer manner. Let's see an example where we want to produce report, rather sales report of HCI textbooks. To achieve this goal, we divide it into sub-goals like gathering the data together, producing the tables and histograms, and writing the descriptive materials. Concentrating on data gathering, we decide to split this into further sub-goals. Find the names of all HCI textbooks and then search the book sales database for these books. Similarly, each of the other sub-goals is divided up into further sub-goals until some level of detail is found and which we decide to stop. We can say there is a hierarchy of goals and sub-goals. The example can be laid out to expose this typical structure. As we can see, different goals and sub-goals. The goals are further divided into the sub-goals. What are goals and what are tasks? Goals are the intentions, what you would like to be true, and tasks are nothing but the actions, how to achieve the goals. Gom's model is one of the major models which talks about the goals where the goals are internal. An HTA model, that is the hierarchical task analysis model, talks about the action external. Tasks are the nothing but abstractions in this case. There are various issues for goal hierarchies. For example, granularity is one of the major issues. We most of the times don't understand where do we start or where do we stop. What do we mean by that? When I am saying where do we start, I mean to say in a similar way we can start our analysis at different points in the hierarchy of goals. At the extreme, we could extend our analysis to larger goals. And when I am saying where do we stop, we would say that we are trying to decompose the task until we get down to the individual hand and eye movements of the user, or we can stop at a more abstract level. These are the two questions which talk about granularity. Routine learned behavior is not a problem solving. So, unit task is the most abstract task which is referred to as the unit task. The unit task does not require any problem solving skills on the part of the user. There can be problems where we have some conflicts. For example, we have more than one way to achieve a particular goal and there must be some of representing way how to select between two competing solutions. Another important issue has to deal with users. Users are not perfect, as we know to err is human. A goal hierarchy may show how the perfect user would achieve a goal, but what can it say about difficulties the user may have along the way? The different techniques which we are going to learn under cognitive models are Gom's model, CCT model and HTA model. Let's see all of them one by one in detail. What is a Gom's model? In Gom's model, it was actually a model of Card, Moran and Newell, who talked about goals, operators, methods and selection. A Gom's description consists of these four elements which predict the user's performance with a particular interface and can be used to filter particular design options. What are goals? Goals are the user's goals describing what the user wants to achieve. Then in this model named GOMS, the goals are taken to represent a memory point for the user from which he can evaluate what should be done and to which he may return should any error occur or not. It represents a big picture. For example, in case of a non-computer application, if the goal is supposed to reach from an air to reach an airport from a particular hotel, this can be a high level goal. What are operators? Operators are the lowest level of analysis. They are basic actions which the user performs in order to use the system. This may affect the system. For example, press the X key or only the user's mental state. For example, read the dialog box. There is a degree of flexibility of granularity of operators. We may take the command level, issue the select command, or we may be primitive saying move mouse to menu bar, press center mouse button and then select. It represents the specific actions considering the same application of reaching the airport from the hotel. Operators mean to locate a bus stop, wait for a bus and or we can say get on a particular bus. What are methods in case of GOMS model? As we know, there can be several ways in which a goal can be split into sub-goals. For example, in a certain window manager, a currently selected window can be closed to an icon, either by selecting the close option or from a pop-up menu or by hitting the L7 function key. In GOMS, these two goals decompositions are referred to as nothing but the methods. So the goal can be by using the window and going to the close option or by directly using the L7 method. The dots are used to indicate the hierarchical levels of the goals over here. In the case of the example of airport from hotel, the methods can be either to take a bus or taxi or rent a car, maybe take a train or simply walk. What is the last point from GOMS? It talks about selection. From the above snippet, what we have observed is the use of word select where the choice of method arises. GOMS attempts to predict which method will be used and this depends both on the particular user and on the state of the system and details about the goals. So it basically means choosing between the competing methods. For example, Sam is a user who never uses the L7 method except for one game, which is a block game where the mouse needs to be used in the game until the very moment the key is pressed. GOMS captures this in a selection rule for Sam. So it provides him with two rules: use the close method unless another rule applies, and the rule 2, if the application is blocks, use the L7 method. In case of selection of going to the airport, we can say it would be like walking is cheaper but tiring and slow, and taking a bus is a bit complicated task to reach. A typical GOMS analysis would consist of a single high-level goal, which is then decomposed into sequence of unit tasks, all of which can be further decomposed down to the level of basic operators. The goal decomposition between the overall task and the unit task would involve detailed understanding of the user, problem-solving strategies, and the application domain. These are sidestep. Analysis of GOMS goal structure can yield measures of performance. The model of the user's mental processes implied by this is of course very idealized. There are some key points which we should remember for GOMS. It was a model which was designed for cognitive modeling, providing quantitative measures. It was good for describing how experts perform routine tasks. It can be coupled with physical devices. It was never intended to provide the kind of information, but it talks about the user's knowledge that could be compared across different tasks. It requires a lot of time, skill and efforts and works for goal directed tasks